people of the World Wide Webs. I'm Cypher Sigma Screen Time. It is the weekend, so it is movie review time. Apologies, I'm a little ill again, so that's why my voice may be coming across a little croaky. It kind of goes up and down, so hopefully the recording won't be too bad. So yes, so this week's film is Last Breath. This was a kind of blind watch. So when it came to watching the cinema on a Tuesday, I had the choice of two films. You had Last Breath, or you had another one which I cannot remember. Marching Powder, the Danny Dyer one. The timings just worked out that Last Breath worked a lot better for me, so that's what I decided to go and see. Went in blind, didn't know what it was. I could I've only seen like one or two scenes where they're putting on a helmet, so I assumed it was working with like going underwater. It is a 12A movie, runs for an hour and 33 minutes, which is quite a short movie, but enjoyable, and I did really enjoy it. So we'll put the spoiler warning up and we'll get into this movie. So this movie has a very small-ish cast. Obviously, it's directed by Alex Parkinson. You have two of the smaller characters. So you have Cliff Curtis from kind of American fame. He's been in movies, stuff like this, as Andre Johnson. He's basically the captain of the ship. You have Mark Bonner, who is Craig. Craig is kind of the head of the diving teams. There are 3 diving teams in this movie. And then you have Diving Team A, which is essentially Woody Harrelson as Duncan. He is the old kind of set to retire character, which you find out during the movie. Simon Liu, who's Dave, he's kind of the superstar of the world. And then we have Finno, who is Chris, and he's kind of the main character on this. So when this movie starts and tells you that it's a real life story. Did not know this. What it is you have a kind of undersea camera coming up, seeing kind of looks like a person underneath the water, kind of a bit blurry, not the greatest footage. What I didn't realise until after the movie, this scene that you see at the very beginning and the scenes from the movie are actually from the real life event. Quite scary when you think about it. So the premise of this movie is there are hundreds of thousands of pipes that run underneath the ocean line, and basically this story is about a team who go and fix them. Pardon me. So you have these 3 teams, these divers, they all go to the boat, they get depressurized in these chambers, get sent down, and then they spend 6 hours at a time fixing parts of these cables and stuff like this. It's all quite a lot done by electronics and stuff. So essentially the boat goes out, the electronics take over and position it in the right position. And then one team goes down, do their job, and I believe then they rotate teams one after the other. So there's one kind of device, but they split it in 6-hour shifts. So in between the breaks, like in a day, every team does 6 hours. But yeah, essentially team 1 are the ones up. So we have Chris. We learn a little about that with his wife, he's about to get married and stuff like this. Obviously, he's never met Dave before he meets Dave, and obviously then we have Duncan. They all get together, and then we find out, this is Duncan's last ride. They see he's too old, but they're all going to go and do their job. Dave is very much like a hotshot, even though he seems a bit cold and distant a little bit. He's a bit, just follow my lead, Chris, because Chris is the new lad, even though he's done some diving and stuff before. And this sets off the set of events. So they take him out to somewhere off the UK coast. They then set themselves in place, get down, wake up the team get in the tank and then go down. They drop about 300 feet below sea level, the tank does, and then they have to drop down to the ocean floor, which is a little bit further, and they have these cables on them which have their air and everything, and they're all built up. Duncan stays in the little pod. He is kind of the communication, plus he deals with the air and everything else. So he has Craig on the surface that is talking to Duncan, Woody Harrelson's character, and Woody Harrelson talks to the Craig, Chris and Dave characters that are on the floor doing the repairs. So they both go down and they both start then looking for the platform. The platform is there, and they start assessing it. During this, the hydraulics fail on the boat. As the hydraulics fail, it means that they lose stability and the boat starts moving with the oceans, because it's quite, there's massive storms coming on. As it starts moving the boat, this starts moving the little cage that Duncan's in, and when and as Duncan's cage has the oxygen supply cables which go to them, it starts pulling the guys. Dave is quite fast reacting, like, we need to get on the platform, so when it goes up, we can get, we can hopefully get pulled away and we're not in there. Dave manages to get up first. Chris follows him up, but unfortunately as Chris gets up, his cable gets snagged around part of the platform. This then anchors the boat for a very small period, but essentially then starts choking him because it's cutting off his air supply. Dave reassures him, gets him to switch to his backup oxygen, so he gets 10 minutes of backup oxygen, and basically says, look, I'm coming back for you, the cable's going to snap, you need to get back on the platform, I'll be back for you, you're going to be okay. The cable snaps, Dave is shot off into the ocean floor. Chris is shot off into the floor. Dave then is pulled up. He manages to climb back up into the pod, and then he is stuck as the boat is slowly moving more and more further away from where Dave is and the platform is. This is when the crew of the ship are trying to figure out a way to reset the ship and reconfigure stuff to try and get it, because the only way to reset the computer is to turn everything off, and turn it back on, it takes hours, and essentially Dave doesn't have hours. He has 10 minutes left of oxygen first, and then that's when he runs out of oxygen. So you have the ship trying to sort themselves out. So they go on their mission, they manage to find a way and set themselves, but by the time they reconfigure it, they're too far away and they have to come back. At this point, you then go back to Chris, who's under the ocean. He's can't really see anything. He has flares. Obviously, when they drop down with their oxygen supply, they also have a power cable that powers up the platform so they can see where everything is. Obviously, he loses that. He just has flares. He manages to find his way to the platform, get on top of the platform, and then hooks himself on. He hooks himself to the platform that you don't realise, just so he doesn't get washed away. The 10 minutes go, his oxygen cuts out, and then he's basically oxygen deprived. And then you see, this is all done by like a timer, it's very clever, and then you start seeing how long he's gone without oxygen. As the ship starts to get back on track, there is a portable like undersea camera device. So Craig basically has this go and check to see if Chris is on the platform. They manage to find him on top of the platform, and it has a little claw. The bloke who operates it doesn't want to interact with Chris, because if that claw punches his suit or any way, he's going to literally kills him outright. Craig says, I'll take over, manages to hook one of the clamps, goes to pull him off the platform, and that's when they realise that he's connected to the platform by this clip. So they are screwed, basically. They need someone to go down there. The ship manages to get back to where they are. Obviously, they're trying to get everything set so Dave can jump back in and go get him. Obviously, they drop the device lower. As they drop the device lower and Dave jumps in to grab Chris, there is like a shift in the currents, and the device that Duncan is in slams against the platform, and obviously Dave has to grab Chris and pull him out of the way. And then there's a tug of war of Dave having Chris strapped to him underwater, trying to climb up this massive cable that he's really struggling with. Manages to get him back on the boat. They take his mask off, and with a bit of CPR, he then starts breathing on his own, which is great, but there is no reaction. He is just almost brain dead. At this point, I believe he's been 27 minutes without oxygen. So he was under the water for almost 40 minutes. 10 minutes, obviously, with oxygen, and 27 minutes, which is a long... If anybody knows, like 5-10 minutes, I think it is, the body more or less is dead. But there are instances, 27 minutes is far beyond this, and they suspect that he is gone. Dave and Duncan do what they can. They get no reaction. They sit there. It all comes to pass if everyone had done all this to get, obviously, Chris back, and he's not alive. And then Chris starts talking, and everyone's shocked. And then they bring him aboard, and then you have Chris. Obviously, he has to go through compression. And then there obviously kind of is some realisations and stuff that happen with this. And obviously, that it's Duncan's last ride. Chris goes back home to his wife, and then obviously has to have explained there was an accident. She's very shocked, because obviously what he does, if something goes wrong, it's potentially life-threatening. And that's almost where the story ends. I know I'm talking a lot on this and probably explained a bit lot, but then it's really great because you then have footage of Chris getting married in real life, so actually his footage, and this is where you learn it. He also several weeks later goes back and finishes the job that he did, and yeah, he is the only person to have survived 27 minutes and so many seconds without oxygen and to have no lasting impact on his life. He doesn't have any like disabilities or anything like that. He seems to be just as good. Like they do say that because of the oxygen stuff underneath the ocean and what he's been breathing and stuff like this, that has an impact, but they can't explain it. There is no official explain. And then it has a kind of video footage of them actually when they go back and they make a little joke with Chris, don't muck it up this time, which is a great way to end like a true story and a nice happy ending, and just such a great movie. Well acted, well set out, well paced, even though it's set around a very small cast. And the fact I went in blind, I absolutely loved the movie. So I'm going to rank this 7.5 out of 10. I know it probably. I need a rewatch to give it time to deafen because it was such an unknown. By far the best movie I've seen this year, hands down, and it just goes to show of given the right story, the right directing, the right acting, how we can still produce great movies to this day. So that has been my review of Last Breath. Have you seen this movie? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. I've been Sigma Screen Time, and I shall see you in the next one.